The UN says there has been an alarming rise in the number of children being used as suicide bombers by the Boko Haram group. A report by UNICEF says nearly 1 in 5 suicide attacks are now carried out by children. There were 44 bombings in 2015 compared with just 4 a year earlier. That's more than a tenfold increase. 75% of the children used are young girls. The UN says many of them are captives who are forced to be trained as fighters. Well, Boko Haram is mainly active in northeastern Nigeria, but has also carried out suicide attacks in Cameroon, Chad and Niger. Well, let's speak now to Doune Porter, a communications officer for UNICEF, and she joins us live from Abuja. Madam, thank you so much for joining us here on AlJazeera. So first of all, why do you think we're seeing such a shocking increase in the use of children in these attacks by Boko Haram?
Well, as you say, it is indeed a shocking and very alarming increase in the use of children. It is, of course, most likely a terror tactic. In the past, Boko Haram did not use children or women, so men were more likely to be checked going into public places by security personnel when they went into places such as mosques or markets. So using women and children has made it easier for them to get explosives into these places. Of course, now people are also suspicious of women and children as well. So it's also increased the feeling of fear and insecurity in these areas.
And I know that you've just returned from one of the most affected areas by Boko Haram. Tell us a little bit about what you heard from the girls that you spoke to who had managed to escape from Boko Haram. What did they tell you about their experience?
Well, all of them have just tragic and heartbreaking stories. They talk about being terrorized, being beaten, being raped. Many of them raped by many different people, some of them forced into so-called marriages where they're raped repeatedly by the same man. They're kept for weeks, months, even years in the most awful conditions. Many of them aren't fed properly. Sometimes when they come out, we see them, they're extremely ill, they're very malnourished. Of course, that we can help with in the short term, but the longer term consequences, the trauma that these girls have suffered, the terrible stories that they tell, many of them have come away when they have managed to escape. They're pregnant or they have children as a result of these repeated rapes by Boko Haram. And now when they come back to their communities, they often face terrible stigmatization. Their families and their communities are afraid of them because of this heartless use of children, and especially girls, as bombers.
We all remember, of course, when hundreds of schoolgirls, the Chibok schoolgirls, were kidnapped, and that managed to get the world's attention really focused on the issue of Boko Haram. Are you finding it harder now to get the similar sort of attention on this case, which ironically also really focuses on young girls?
Well, the young girls kidnapped from Chibok are, of course, the most famous, the most well-known. But we really need to stress that there are about 200 of these girls among the thousands of children. We're pretty sure that there are at least 2,000 children being held by Boko Haram. Many of them are being released, many of them are escaping. It's not without hope. There is certainly progress being made, but there are still a lot of children being helped. So the kidnapping of this large group of girls in Chibok certainly raised attention to the situation of children in the northeast of Nigeria and in the region. But we must be sure to remember that it's thousands of children as well.
Doune Porter, Communications Officer for UNICEF. Madam, thank you so much for having shared your views with us. Thank you.